Welcome to Positive Spin's 200th program, celebrating 20 years of presenting positive, innovative, and solution-oriented news from around the world. On today's program, we highlight some of Positive Spin's major areas of focus: the United Nations, peace, environment, diversity, and our Inspirational Life Stories series.
The United Nations is an organization with goals of peace and sustainable development around the world. Their mission is huge, but we're breaking it down in 2 minutes. 17 sustainable development goals. Let's get to them, cause the more you know. Look, in some corners of the world today, people are living on $1 a day. Hey, that's not how it ought to be. So goal 1, eliminate poverty. And goal 2, root out hunger across the globe. There's 800 million people hungry if you want to know. Number 3 is health and well-being, and getting people the health care that they need in. Learning in school are the hard to go for. Education opens up minds and doors. Goal number 5 is empower girls and women so they can have the same rights that men are given. Number 6, people need water that's clean. Poor sanitation can spread disease. Carbon-free energy is goal number 7, and how to achieve it is a question that's pressing. But if we put our minds together and work hard, we can find a solution, I'm guessing. 17 sustainable development goals to improve life all around the globe. Protecting human health and the environment. Whatever bed we make, we gon' have to lie in it. 17 sustainable development goals to improve life all around the globe. Protecting human health and the environment. Whatever bed we make, we gon' have to lie in it. Now imagine that you work all day for no pay. Economic growth and decent work is goal 8. Goal number 9 is to foster innovation in infrastructure and industrialization. Goal number 10, inequality reduction. 11 is sustainable city construction. 12, well, that's sustainable consumption, so what we use matches up with production. Goal 13 calls for urgent action to combat climate change, cause we know it's happening. 14, protect life under seas. 15, protect life on land. Goal 16 is for peace and justice all over the planet. They're in high demand. And the final goal, number 17, is the critical factor, the heart of the machine. It's the strength in the way we achieve these goals of sustainable development around the globe. Yo, 17 sustainable development goals to improve life all around the globe. Protecting human health and the environment. Whatever bed we make, we gon' have to lie in it. 17 sustainable development goals to improve life all around the globe. Protecting human health and the environment. Whatever bed we make, we gon' have to lie in it.
These people are part of movement.
Prafulla Salmantara won a 12-year legal battle to stop a large open-pit aluminium ore mine in eastern India. The outcome affirmed the land rights of local indigenous people and stopped the destruction of 1,600 acres of untouched forest.
If you look at the soil here, there's exide lead in this soil.
Mark Lopez made the state of California provide lead testing and clean up homes in East Los Angeles contaminated by a battery recycling plant, which had polluted the community for over 3 decades, emitting lead and arsenic at dangerously high levels. A campaign to stop the expansion of a nickel mine in Guatemala saw activist Rodrigo Tot also win this year's prize. For over 10 years, he's fought for indigenous land rights and prevented the forced evictions of local farmers.
Our crops were looking sick and some of them were dying and we didn't know why.
Australian farmer Wendy Bauman also received the prize. She stopped a multinational mining company from taking her family farm and has also protected her community in the Hunter Valley from further pollution and environmental destruction. Rodrigue Catambo wins the prize this year for exposing bribery and corruption behind an attempt to drill for oil in the Virunga National Park in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Working as a park ranger, he went undercover to document the activities of an oil company and was later abducted and tortured by those opposing his activism. Organic farmer Uros Masul was also recognised for his work collecting air quality data, showing a dramatic increase in the pollutants emitted from a cement factory in Slovenia. Each winner will get $170,000. The awards, though, don't come without danger. 2 previous winners have been murdered for their activism. Tarek Basley, Al Jazeera.
I am not black. I mean, that's what the world calls me, but it's not me. I didn't come out of my mother's womb saying, "Hey, everybody, I'm black." No, I was taught to be black, and you were taught to call me that, along with whatever you call yourself. It's just a label. See, from birth, the world force feeds us these labels, and eventually we all swallow them. We digest and accept the labels, never ever doubting them. But there's one problem. Labels are not you, and labels are not me. Labels are just labels. But who we truly are is not skin deep. Listen, I'm not here to tell you how science has concluded that genetically we're all mixed and race in the human species doesn't exist, or how every historian knows that race was invented in the 15th century to divide people from each other and it has worked perfectly. No, I'm not here to lecture. I just want to ask one question. Who would you be if the world never gave you a label? Never gave you a box to check? Would you be white, black, Mexican, Asian, Native American, Middle Eastern, Indian? No. We would be one. We would be together. No longer living in the era of calling human beings black people or white people. These labels that will forever blind us from seeing a person for who they are, but instead seeing them through the judgmental, prejudicial, artificial filters of who we think they are. We were meant to be free, and only until we remove them all and stop living and thinking so small will we be free to see ourselves and each other for who we truly are. So what can we do in the face of all this madness and chaos? What is the solution? We can love. Trying to control the mind is like trying to flatten out water. You just make more waves.
One world, one love.
My take on peace takes me back to when I was a kid in Liverpool. I remember once talking to my father about whether people wanted peace, because it seemed like there was so much war and so much stress in the world. He said, people want peace. Everybody, everywhere wants peace. He said, it's the governments, the politicians who want the fights.
The first thing I always think of when I think about people trying to create peace is that they try to create it out there as if it doesn't come from inside. And I think the only way that there's ever going to be peace in the whole world is when we all learn to have peace within ourselves.
And then, of course, there's the activism part of peace, which is to try to get involved in some level in helping make peace happen in your world.
On this day, at a time when the world is not at peace, at a time when there are such ever-present threats to the very survival of the human race, on this day we use all of our power, the power of our imagination, the power of our intentions, the power of our prayers, and the power of our efforts to say, we can do it different. We can change the world. Why? Because we said so. Praise God.
There's so much hunger, there's so much crime, there's so much terrorism in this world. Remember one thing, our life is more than half over, most of us. We're not going to live 500-600 years. We need to unite, we need to help each other, we need to be nice to each other and give. Don't take, give back.
Just coexist with each other and not necessarily always having to agree on every issue, but not allowing our differences to cause us to hate each other.
Be kind to your friends. Go out of your way for people. And don't honk your horn.
Peace to me means being able to look your fellow human being, your friend in the eyes and saying, I don't hold anything against you. I have no ill will wished upon you or anyone that you know. I only want the best for you and your friends and my family and everyone in this world, because everyone deserves a chance to make not only their dreams come true, but to make the world a better place because of our dreams.
There are so many ways we can make the world around us more peaceful, through small acts of kindness, showing respect for people, animals, and the environment.
We have to treat the earth better, we have to treat ourselves better, we have to treat our brothers and sisters, no matter what our skin color is, no matter what our religion is, no matter whether we're transgender, gay, purple, blue, black. We're all people, and life's too short and the world's too small to be doing otherwise.
The Peace Day Global Internet broadcast promotes the United Nations, its agencies, funds and programs around the world working for peace, the environment, human rights, and social and economic justice.
Peace is something that should be fought for without weaponry, as intensely, more intensely, than fighting a war. Peace is the most precious possession we can achieve. The opposite of peace is the wasting of life, bloodshed, and arriving at no solution whatsoever.
I think if people step back and say, okay, what is peace? Peace has to start with us. We can't just be pointing fingers. We have to start by being peaceful and by compassion and understanding. And it's a tricky time right now.
So at night, if you feel like you're so frustrated or hate everybody, hey, you can get up in the morning and start again. You can say, I can be kind. I can be loving. I can evolve. And we can have peace.
We need peace in the world in every corner. We all have to do our bit to make everybody happy, healthy, and to make a solution. We all get along here. Hugs and kisses.
Well, it's what the world needs now. Wasn't that a song called What the World Needs Now? They said love, but what the world needs now is love and peace.
Not only embarrassed by what's happening in the country at the moment, peace is the love is the answer. I got that from Louis Armstrong. Love.
Peace and love, compassion and understanding is the only thing that's going to get us out of this mess. And that's the truth.
Well, peace means respecting other people's rights. There was the famous Mexican president, Benito Juárez, who said, el respeto al derecho ajeno es la paz. Respecting other people's rights is peace. That's number one. Peace means a world without violence. And peace means a world that we not only care for each other, but that we also care for our earth, for Mother Earth, for our planet.
We're all different in our own ways, and whether it's religion, whether it's color, whether it's race, whatever you name it, and if we can all just get along and understand one another, that we're all different, and love one another, this place will just be a lot better, man. Be a lot better.
Captain America stands for liberty and peace and justice for all.
I'm Marilyn King, and as an Olympian, I take our ancient role as messengers very seriously, which is why I'm carrying the Olympic torch today, because I want to pass it on to you.
Peace is such a wonderful thing in this world. We all need global peace, so we can live in a world in peace and harmony.
The path we are on can be changed. You're that change. I want to encourage you to take seriously and consciously your power as citizens and intervene in the political process and your local communities as means of ensuring optimal quality of life.
What would this world be without? What it takes without peace? There wouldn't be one. So we all need to work for it. Yeah. In our own ways. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
From Jakku, and I think there should be peace in the galaxy.
And many of us remember John Lennon's famous plea, "Give peace a chance." For this to happen, peace must have a much greater priority in public policies and institutions. It has to be taught in schools, promoted by the world's religions, given institutional support. Where are the public departments for peace? We need to strengthen security by abolishing and eliminating nuclear weapons and other weapons of mass destruction.
Let's give peace a chance. Think about it. The future's in our hands.
But I would give the world, if the world were nothing but peace, so that no other mother's children ever have to serve. Thank you. And remember, this is your mother talking.
I'm going to have my moment now. Ooh, I feel good. Peace and love, everybody.
Unity Foundation is a nonprofit organization with a 40-year history, actually 41 years, with the purpose of promoting peace, cooperation, and unity throughout the world. We were founded in San Francisco, and in our early days we created unity festivals in Golden Gate Park and other parks in San Francisco, bringing together spiritual, political, environmental organizations for the purpose of expressing unity. We had major performers like the Jefferson Starship, Grateful Dead, and Santana perform at these events. 20 years ago, we created the Positive Spin television show to present positive, innovative, and solution-oriented news from around the world. We created the program to counteract all the sensationalism and negativity in the news, which we still see today. Then, in the last 8 years, we produced the Peace Day Global broadcast, celebrating the UN International Day of Peace. The program streams live from the Peace Channel and also the UN website and numerous websites and Facebook pages, reaching people worldwide with the message of peace and environmental sustainability. Yes, actually, I was in a couple of bands. I was brought up in the 1960s living in San Francisco. So music was everywhere, and music is that universal language. So it really captured my soul. And I was into all the bands of that time, the San Francisco bands, but most specifically, I was a big fan of the Jefferson Airplane. In 1975, the airplane had morphed into the Jefferson Starship. And they had this song, Ride the Tiger, which I really loved. And I was at this concert, this mega concert that Bill Graham, the biggest producer in the world, was putting on to save education in San Francisco. And I heard the song, perhaps like for the first time. In the middle of the song, there's a lyric, "In the summer of 75, the whole world will again come alive." For some reason, being so inspired by my favorite band and their lyrics, and realizing that the summer was just a few months away, I turned to my producing partner at the time, Richard, and said, "You know what, Richard? We're going to do that." So the next day, Richard and a few of our friends started calling every political, spiritual, environmental, cultural group in the Bay Area and telling them that we felt that it was time for everybody to unite. Well, some of them hung up on us. Some of them said, "Who are you? What have you done before?" But we kept on. And a few months later, 45 organizations, spiritual, political, environmental, organizations that would never consider being in the same room with each other, all gathered together in Lindley Meadow in Golden Gate Park for the first San Francisco Unity Festival. And what was so amazing was not only the festival, but that my favorite band, the Jefferson Starship, agreed to perform. They had been the inspiration, and now they were going to perform at the event. And 2 weeks before, their song Miracles hit #1 on the charts. The band was the biggest band in the world at that time when they were playing our event. And then at the last minute, they decided to bring the Grateful Dead with them. And 50,000 people showed up to our very first event, our first Unity Festival. I remember we had a friend who was a lawyer backstage, and he said, "Bill, you can't just do this as a one-off event. You need to solidify this. You need to create a foundation." And Unity Foundation was born. You know, I've always believed that the power of intention has guided my life, as evidenced by the first Unity Festival, of course. So in 2009, I had this vision, this dream. What if the media of the world could come together for just one day and focus on peace? It was a crazy idea, but I felt it so strongly that I knew I had to move forward. The best way to do that, of course, would be on the internet. And I knew very little about the internet. I knew how to send emails, I knew how to search for websites, but that was basically it. So I called my producing partner at the time, Lorian, and I said, "Lorian, I have this idea about a Peace Day global broadcast." She loved the idea. And I thought, well, now what we need to do is we need to ask those people who are at the forefront of celebrating the International Day of Peace what they think about it. So I called two central people to the whole movement who I knew, Dr. Robert Mueller and Avon Madison. And I left a message on the phone. Avon called me back and said, "Robert and I have been waiting for this phone call for 25 years. Since the birth of the International Day of Peace, we've been talking about such a thing." Of course, this was before the internet. But they hoped one day they would get the phone call from someone saying that they wanted to do this. So they gave us their full support. We didn't know what to do next because we knew so little about the internet. But like magic, people started showing up, internet professionals that helped us to organize the whole thing. And on September 21st, 2009, the first ever Peace Day global broadcast was launched. It was an amazing experience. The very next year, the UN began streaming the broadcast from their official website. And now it's on numerous websites and Facebook pages all over the world. And what was the purpose? To promote the vitally important work of the United Nations, its humanitarian agencies, and organizations working for peace, the environment, human rights, social and economic justice around the world, with a special focus on the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which have been signed on to by all the countries of the United Nations.
Poverty, growing inequality exists in all of our nations. And all of our nations have work to do. And that includes here in the United States. And that's why today I am committing the United States to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals.
The Sustainable Development Goals build on the success of another 15-year plan. Created in the year 2000, the Millennium Development Goals sunset at the end of 2015.
Yes, I was deeply honored to receive the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award from President Obama in 2017. You know, it's really amazing. I started out with a simple dream to promote peace and unity around the world. And now 40 years later, I'm getting recognized with this beautiful award. Not that awards mean that much, but I also recognize there are thousands of organizations around the world doing so much incredible work for peace, the environment, social justice, human rights, and unity, who are as deserving as I to receive this award. During Positive Spin's 20-year history, the program has evolved in its design, content, and reach. We like to thank the many people who have made Positive Spin possible. Beginning with Dirksen Malloy Productions, Dirk Dirksen, director, and Damon Malloy, videographer and editor, and Heather Searles, the original co-host with Bill McCarthy. And our videographers and editors, Tim Powell, Johnny Simonello, Dean Levy, and our voiceover artist, Glenna Dumais, and John Dalton for granting the rights for his music to be featured on Positive Spin. And thank you to our on-camera correspondents.
Hi, Brenda Lynn Martin with Positive Spin TV, and I'm here to introduce a new segment of inspirational life stories.
Positive Spin's ongoing series, Inspirational Life Stories, profiles the lives of ordinary people who have risen above personal challenges to lead successful and fulfilling
And I've had people tell me, well,
lives.
why don't you give her up and get off the streets? No, this is my baby. She's my everything.
Today, it is marvelous. I mean, my mother has always been my biggest supporter, and she's always been my champion. And my dad, when I came out when I was 16, was very supportive. And my mom said to my dad, you know, our son's gay. And I said, well, what do you think Dad's gonna say? And she said, if he doesn't like it, he can leave. So that's the kind of support that I had.
Well, I believe in God, and I believe He has His hand on me. And I count my blessings every day because He has been so good to me. And I'm blessed for what He has given me. Not what I don't have, like my eyesight. What I have. And that's my health, that's my little doggy, my home, my children, my grandkids. I am so blessed.
Coming to the U.S., how different was it?
Well, I started going college. I met in Italy, Cangeletto del Giardino, tu canti insieme a me.
Always has a nice smile on her face. It's always nice to see her, and she's always dressed up so pretty with her bright colors on and everything. We enjoy having her.
The book title is Up from the Sidewalk. We are also getting involved, very much involved, helping children that are being bullied. I refer to Sammy Davis Jr. as being my angel, and he wrote, Mr. Garrett, you're our angel.
Thank you for watching our 20th anniversary program. This special Positive Spin program was made possible through the generosity of the Patty and Jack Wright Foundation. To see past Positive Spin programs, watch Positive Spin TV on YouTube, and please like us on Facebook. Now it's your turn. Inspire, empower your community, create your own positive news.